you ready?
Ready as I can be.
You look very pretty, so you're definitely ready for that part.
Well, thank you. You look
Uh,
beautiful.
Thank you. We're matching in red today. I already
Oh,
told Judy that I love her silky moment. She looks like someone's like widow, and she's like on the edge of a cliff, like drinking a martini, just thinking about like who her next victim is gonna be.
I have a drink, but it's not a martini.
Okay. So first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this and taking
Thank-
the time to.
Yeah, thank you
Um,
for having me.
I always do like a little bit of background basically on what this is. And for anybody that hasn't seen an episode yet, basically I started a social group for women here in Orlando. I really didn't think anybody was ever going to join, but I was very fortunate and I have thrown a bunch of different events. A ton of women actually showed up throughout a year span. I think there's a little less than 800 members on there now. Um, and some of the feedback that I got from people that aren't in Orlando is, man, I wish we had something like this here. Judy was one of those people. Because why? Because it's really difficult to make adult friends, especially women. I don't know why we're all terrified of one another. I would love that to stop.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like a lot of the women in the Girls That Gather group in person ended up being really great friends in real life. They all hang out to this day. They have their own side group chats and stuff. So that made it completely worth it for me. Today, I am bringing along someone that's not in the Orlando area. I have our guest, Judy. Judy, where are you right now?
hi, I'm from St. Petersburg, so I'm currently here. I moved from Florida about two and
You're
a half years ago
you're from Texas, though, right?
from Texas. Yeah, I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I've been here for about a little over 2 years now, and I got the
Yes.
chance to meet you, so that was awesome.
Judy and I worked for the same company at one point in St. Pete, and that's how we became friends. So that's kind of a little backstory on our friendship. And do you want to say anything about yourself, or do you want to jump into the topic?
So I say let's just jump into the topic. I feel like I'm ready for it. I've
Okay.
never actually like talked about something like this like openly to people, so I'm kind of excited and
She
nervous.
picked a very ambitious topic, and I'm so excited to hear. I'm here with like my drink, like
Yeah, I'm
ready
kind
to
of
hear what it
nervous.
is. I sent her, by the way, everyone, I sent her over 75 topics to choose from, and this was her choice. So
Yeah.
she's gonna bring it. Do you
It
want to
was hard.
tell
Yeah, it was definitely hard to choose from, but
do you want to tell everybody what the topic of the day is?
okay, so the topic of the day that I chose, like I said, it was very hard to choose because you had so many great ones, but I felt like this one um just happened to me recently, so I felt the need to talk about it. But it was toys and kinks in the bedroom. So topic 41.
Okay.
Right. So let's get into it. I chose this topic because, like I said, this just happened to me like on Friday. Okay, so
Hmm.
it was super recent. Um, and I also wanted to talk about it just because I consider myself a very prude person.
Okay. Like
Believe it or not.
conservative,
I'm super prude, yes.
which only makes me more excited that you chose this topic because you're right. I every time I do like not every time, but I've always seen you as a very well put together, professional, conservative person. You have fun,
I
obviously.
have fun,
But
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
But
But
so what's a little like where's the context? Like what's going on in the story? Who's involved? Tell us
okay,
everything.
so it was me and my boyfriend. And
Hmm.
like I said, I'm a very prude person. So like anything like I'm not like a super huge like sexual person. Like that's just not
It's not
who
your
I
vibe.
am.
That's
It's not
okay.
my vibe. It's
But you
definitely
know
not my
what? It works for your boyfriend and that's all that matters. So
it works, right? So he because of him, I feel like he's slowly, gradually like opening me up more in that realm. But he did say last week, he was like, let's go to the sex store on Friday. And I was like, okay. I was a little nervous at first. I was like, I don't know, like this is so new to me. We've never done this before. I'm like, that's just
you've
I don't know
never
how
been
I'm
to a
gonna
sex
react.
store.
We've never been. No. Well, okay, lied. I've been once with him, but it was like we didn't even purchase anything. We just walked in and walked out. So I consider this like the first real like purchase.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Okay. So
So
we're in the sex store.
well, he brought it up last week. He was like, "Let's go to the sex store," and I was like, "Okay, like I'm digging it. Let's go. Let's try it."
Okay.
So we go, but I'm super like I said, I'm super prude. So
We're
we
in
were
the sex store,
awkward.
Judy. Paint us a picture. Let's go. We're walking
I
in.
mean,
Are
we're
you
in there.
nervous?
I'm seeing some like really
First
huge
of all, why did you
dildos.
choose this particular one? Did you like look at reviews? Like, did you do your homework on each sex store? Because me and my ex, we used to go and we were like, we want the best one. Like, we want great reviews, great pictures, great products.
Okay.
Um, we were not scared to ask questions while we were there. I was like this.
Yeah.
Help me.
Yeah,
I need help.
I can
Ma'am,
picture
sir,
it.
can you open this thing up for us?
Yeah, knowing you, I can totally picture you doing that. No, I didn't review anything. We literally just went Friday night. We went and had dinner, and he was like, "All right, let's go to the sex store." And I was like, "All right, cool." I didn't know what sex store to go to, so we're just like Googling like the nearest one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after dinner, we get in the car, and this is so weird because I've never heard like a sex store commercial like on the radio. Have you heard a sex store commercial before?
I don't listen to the radio anymore. So maybe like I feel like I have, but it's been so long that no, I can't say yes.
Well, anyways, we get in the car and like the radio was on. And as we're getting in the car, this like commercial pops on. It's like Frisky, what was it called? Frisky Business, I think. Frisky Business is what it was called.
So
Insane.
it was a sign.
It was a sign. I
It
was like,
was a sign.
this is a total sign that we have to go. So we get in there. I'm a little nervous. I'm like, oh God, this is so awkward to me. But you see like the biggest dildos. I'm like, what do I choose? Like, what's the best product to choose here? Like, I've never done anything
Question.
like this before.
Question.
Yes.
Did you guys go in knowing what you wanted to get, or were you just kind of like, let's see what they have and
Yeah.
maybe or we can be convinced into like trying this if someone helps us?
I think we just went in with like the mindset, like, let's just go and see what they have. But I know for sure we were like going in there to get a vibrator. We're like, okay, we have to get a vibrator. That's like
Okay.
the
Can I
thing.
ask if this was an internal or external vibrator?
It was internal.
Okay. Okay.
I
Gotcha.
know it gets
Gotcha.
so weird about this conversation, but I felt the need to talk about it just because I never talk about things like this. Um, so
Did
anyway,
you did someone help you at the store?
no, so that's one thing. I was like, God, I hope no one's in there. I hope no one's in there. I hope no one is in there. I hope it's just us and like the cashier. And it was just us. So I'm like, okay, felt a little like relieved a little bit. So I felt at ease. But I was like, I don't know what to choose from. There's so many things to choose from. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you even pick? Like,
It's a buffet in there,
it's
is
like
what it is.
like they had silicone ones. I mean, like I mean, I didn't know. I was looking for like the prettiest thing is what I was looking for, not like
Mm-hmm.
an actual replica of a penis.
Right,
I
right,
didn't want
right,
an
right.
actual replica of a penis
Right,
because
right.
that just
Okay.
makes it weird.
You want like the rainbow or unicorn looking one that's just like aesthetically pleasing
Yeah.
dildos over here for for Judy. Aesthetically pleasing only. Got
I
it.
mean, isn't it weird like you going in and purchasing like a replica of a penis
I
and
don't
using
know.
it
Like
inside?
I don't know. I don't have one of those, which is interesting, but because we used to have like a lot of stuff. TMI, sorry. This is probably going to be like a
Okay.
children not allowed video. I will mark it as such. Moms, don't worry. Um, but honestly, like I would always ask, like I said, like I would always ask if I was like questioning a product, the person that works there is going to tell me, they're going to be like, listen, this one's battery dies in like 5 minutes. Don't get it. Don't waste your time. Or like this one, like this is the highest setting and it's not even like that strong,
Yeah.
um, type thing. So I'm always looking for the best deal. I don't care if it's at Home Goods or at the sex store. I
Okay,
just
but
want the best product for the lowest price. So
Okay. So like what are you looking for though? Like if it's a vibrator, are you looking at like how hard it vibrates? Because I was like feeling something. I was like, man, this is intense. Like I don't know if I can handle this. Or are you looking for like
Uh,
softness, the feel? I was looking more for like softness, like the feel of it, you know?
oh my gosh, this is going to be a lot. So I mean, obviously I'm don't want anything hard, of course. Like I want to have a
Yeah.
level of softness or like that, kind of like the plastic sort of exterior that softens it up for you.
Yeah.
And yes, I want it to be powerful, not to say that I'm going to use the most powerful level, but I want the option of the best, no matter what
Yeah.
it is. So if it's not strong enough, like, what's the point? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
So
And
hmm,
we never, I like, there were only a couple times that we went in there, with something in mind, like something
okay.
specific in mind.
Yeah.
I can tell you one story.
Sorry.
I know this is your topic, but like you're
No,
making
no,
me think.
tell me. I want to hear it.
So my ex-boyfriend and I, we were very adventurous. Like I don't know if he was that adventurous before me. Actually, he was, but I don't think like as much so. And it's not that I'm like a crazy sex person. It's just that like I'm like open to everything, the whole world,
Yeah.
always, you know? So we went in and we got one of those vibrators that is like discreet that like I can put in public.
Oh, like a lip. They have like the lipstick ones now.
I don't know if it was a lipstick one. It was like kind of in slash out.
Okay.
And so he was able to control it on his phone through an app.
Mm.
So we went to dinner, we went to the sex store and then we, you know,
Yeah.
got it all cleaned up and everything. And then we went, the toy, not me. And so, because you never know who was touching those things. And then we went to have dinner and yep, it was an
Okay.
interesting situation. But I mean, it's kind of fun. I feel like that's a good option for people that want to do something adventurous in public without like getting arrested. It's a
Yeah.
private moment that you guys are having and no one else is gonna know. And how would they know? Because it's really quiet and he just looks like he's on his phone.
Interesting.
I was having a good time. He was having a good time
That is
torturing
interesting.
me. And then it just kind of sets up the night for later on. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay. I'll
So
have to look
highly
into that
recommend
next.
if next time you go to get one of those, especially like because you said you're conservative, it's a good way to be a little
Yeah.
sassy without getting
Yeah.
in trouble.
I'll have to look into that for sure.
So what did you guys end up landing on? Like how
We
did
ended
you
up
decide on a product?
It was just, I don't even remember the name of it, but it was called Winnie or Weenie. I don't know. It's like
I
WINI.
think I know, sadly, I think I know what you're talking about.
It was the purple one. I was like, listen, I like the way it feels. Like, this is going to work. But the head of it was like, I was a little concerned about the head of it. It was like the head looked a little too big. And I was like, I don't know. Let's just go for it. So we got it and we're at the cashier and the guy goes, oh, you chose like a really good one. And I was like, sweet. Like, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin starts looking at these like male enhancements, like male performers, right? Like male enhancement performer,
Okay, Kevin,
like
he's
better
getting
perform.
adventurous.
I know.
He's like, this is my chance. We're here. I should just grab whatever I can get and like we'll figure it out when we get home.
Yeah, so the guy's like, well, I really recommend Ether, right? He's like, that's probably the best one. He goes, I don't know. The cashier starts like explaining it to us. He's like, I try to alternate every week with like Ether and this like Red Bull one, I think it was called. I don't remember the name of it, but something Bull. He's like, yeah, I like to alternate every week between those two. I'm like, Jesus, how many times are you having sex a week? Like, that's crazy. I
So
mean,
do you mind? I mean, you picked this topic. Do you
I did
mind if I ask how many times on average you guys are like engaging in fun stuff?
average. I had this conversation with my coworker not long ago. I want to say once a week,
Okay.
once every 2 weeks.
And then give us a little back, like, so how long have you and your boyfriend been together?
We've been together for 8 years, going on
Okay.
8 years.
Okay. So 8 years is a long time and you're still doing it at least once a week.
Yeah, at least once a week. So, I mean, Not bad.
do you feel like well, I think it's great that you're going to a sex store to kind of like keep things interesting and fresh. Like this is how probably you keep a relationship going after 8 years.
Yeah.
Um, because let's be real, like it's not gonna always be like when you first met, things are hot and heavy and like, you know what I mean? After a while, you already know each other's moves and like
It dwindles, like I
it
feel like
does.
it dwindles, but we try to
Yeah.
spark it up every now and then, some
Yeah. I like feel bad for my ex-boyfriend because he like um I'm surprised he wasn't terrified of me. And half of the things that I was like, what about this? And he's just like,
Okay, Maria.
well, no, like, because I thought he was conservative when I first met him.
Uh,
And luckily, like, he surprised me in the best way. You know what I mean? By being very open-minded. So that's nice. Like, we were able to not just like do the act,
yeah.
but we had conversations about it and he got really comfortable to the point where like he did his own research and he would send me stuff and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it.
Okay.
And I think that that's so important for people to like, I've met some people and I'm not judging, like whatever works for everybody. Right. So if you guys don't want to talk about it, but that works, then do it. That makes no difference to me. But I think that there is definitely like being comfortable enough to just have a conversation about what you like, what you don't like, because I always think of this. I think I'm thinking about someone in particular where they were just like immediately like, oh, I would never do this and I would never do that and da da da. And the other person never asked, but like they hear this and they think in their head, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh wow, like I would have loved to do that. And now I feel like I can't even mention it because of the abrasive, like big X that I was just presented with. And
Yeah.
it made them feel a little self-conscious about their sexuality, like, like their sexual preferences. And
Mhm.
ultimately it didn't work out between them because they didn't feel comfortable, communicating that to them. I
Yeah.
think it's very important. Um, some people don't talk about sex, and some people, like me, I want to talk about everything. So,
No, I
um, do
agree.
you
Yeah.
guys have conversations about sex too, or is it just like
No,
we've
not
already
really.
done that in the beginning? We know what we like, we know what works for us.
Yeah, I think that's how we are. I don't really think we talk about it much, honestly. I think
Mm-hmm.
because he knows like I'm very prude. He's just like he'll tell me occasionally, he's like, you're just not a very sexual person. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I'm just not like sexually driven.
Yeah. Tonight, Kevin's going to be like, you're going to be like all charged up from this
I know.
conversation, and you're going to be like, hey, big boy.
I know.
And he's going to be like, who
He'll
are
want to
you?
know. It's
Because
so funny.
you're going to be like, I had a conversation with Maria. He's going to be like, well, can you talk to her every day then? Because this is working for me.
Well, we got the toy, and so ever since we got it, he's like, "All right, so are we trying it again tonight?" And I'm like, "Easy there, okay." That was a lot for me to handle on
Yeah.
Friday. Baby steps,
Yeah.
baby steps.
Is
But
it?
we ended up purchasing it, and he got
Yeah.
the ether pill, like that male enhancement. It was so funny because the guy was like, he goes, "Well," he goes, "if you're gonna take it," he goes, "just make sure that you have nowhere to go the next day because it will last for at least 72 hours." I'm like, what does that even
What does
mean?
he think you're going to be doing with this thing?
What does that even mean? So apparently it did have like a long lasting effect, but it would just like kind of stand up on its own. Like it was just had a mind of its own.
You couldn't, what, like you couldn't
But
turn it off?
he couldn't touch me without him getting like a hard on like the next day. Like it was
Oh, his thing, the
it's enhanced.
enhancer thing. By the way, is Kevin okay with us having this conversation?
He's fine. He's
Okay,
fine.
cool.
He's perfectly fine.
Just making sure. I want to make sure everybody feels comfortable in this conversation. He's a part of it technically.
No,
Um, so is it safe to say that you're kind of more like Kevin's more of the dominant and you're more of the
yeah.
submissive?
Yeah.
Yes. And then also, have you ever stepped into that dominant role just to try it out? And if so, how did that go?
I've always been submissive.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been the submissive one. I've never tried being dominant.
Is it because you don't feel like you'd be good at it, or is it because you're just like
It's
you being
definitely
turned on is always being submissive?
yeah. I think I've always been a very like my personality is a very submissive. I have a very submissive personality, I feel. I think that's probably plays into it. But I think it's like it's just like a self-conscious issue too. Like I'm
Okay.
just always like
Okay, so you're just
like during sex, like my brain is always thinking of something. Like I'm always thinking, and it's hard for me to just like shut it down and like get into it. That's why I'm
mhm.
always like,
Can
probably not.
I suggest something?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So, something that me and my ex used to do, people are gonna like Google like who Maria's ex is and be like, oh my gosh, they were doing all kinds of stuff in that room. We don't care, whatever. He's very open with a lot of other weird stuff in his life. Um, so we would take blindfolds and we would both be blindfolded,
Okay.
actually. So I suggest this because A, you can't be self-conscious because he can't see you and you can't see him.
Yeah.
B,
Okay.
I feel like it really heightens your senses.
Ooh,
So you, instead of focusing on like, is he looking at me? Like, should I be like looking sexier to him? Like, it doesn't matter because the eyes are gone. It's all about what you're touching. Things
yeah.
really do feel differently. The sounds, everything is like a little bit heightened. So if
Mhm.
you're, I think you should try it in your submissive way. And I think if you're ever going to try being dominant, I would try it that way because you would feel way less self-conscious.
Ooh, taking notes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
And if you, I mean, yeah.
I think
Or
that's part of it. I'm just like always worried about like appearance. Like, oh my gosh, like what if like he sees a flaw or what if this or what if
mm,
that? Like my brain's just constantly going and I just can't. Like I
well, that's
can't
what we're freaking
stop.
worried about, right? Stretch marks, and if I'm laying down, are my boobs doing something weird?
Yeah, I
You know what
know.
I mean? Like, is my hair looking crazy? Is my eyeliner like
I'm
all
like, do I
messed up?
smell? I don't know, do I smell? But I like have to
Right.
shower like right before it too.
Yeah.
Like shower before, shower after, like constantly showering. I don't
Mm.
know. It's like a weird individual. I'll have to try that
No, you're not a weird individual. I'm sure there are many girls out there going like, preach, sister. Like,
though.
absolutely. Because it doesn't matter. Like, I'm a super like cleanly person, but sex
Yeah.
has its own little scent to it. It doesn't matter. You're mixing like chemicals and juices. Like,
Juices.
this is a
Yeah.
very TMI episode, but that's going to produce some sort of something, some sort of
Yeah.
center of some kind. So, okay. So it's safe to say that your trip to the sex store was
It
successful.
was successful, yeah.
And this wasn't the first time you did this, was
Well,
it?
the first time we actually made a purchase, we went
Okay.
to the
In
store
8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That just goes to show like how much of a prude I am. Like, have
Yeah,
you
but
like porn, Like he'll be like, I think when we first started dating, he was like, let's watch porn together. And we
mhm,
tried it. And I was
mhm.
like, I just got so weirded out by it. I was like, this is awkward. Like it was so
Yeah.
awkward. And he even noticed that I got like awkward. And so we just like shut it down, like
Mhm.
just call it a night. We're going to
Us
sleep.
women, we're such overthinkers. We're
Yeah.
always like planning, overthinking, and like sex is just something that just can't be planned out. Like the first time me and my ex had sex like was terrible. Not because of him or because it was just like everything that could go wrong went wrong. Like at one point, literally, like the dog just burst into the room, jumped into the bed, and like looked at both of us, like, what's going on? Like, I want to play too. Like he thought we were playing. And
He
it
thought
just like it all went bad.
yeah.
But what I was going to say about us being overthinkers is someone once told me, because you know how women like we try like our pretty lingerie on and yada yada. My ex didn't care about lingerie at all.
Yeah.
Like I would always at the sex store be like, oh, do you like anything that you see here? Did you ever want me to try on any costumes or anything? And he was like, no. He just skipped straight past the lingerie and
Yeah.
onto the toys. But we always think like, oh, we have to like match and look good.
Mm.
And I don't remember who said this, but they were like, listen, we don't care if your panties are blue and your bra is like purple, like or white. You know what I mean? Like he's like, have you ever seen a man not want to have sex with you because your underwear didn't match?
We're matching, yeah.
There's
I've heard that.
and it takes two and they take it off in 2 seconds anyways, or they
No.
rip it off by accident. I remember my ex ripped off a pair of like my La Perla
Ooh,
panties, and those
yeah.
are, those are expensive.
Yeah.
I think sex stopped that day. I was like, I need a moment because you just broke my La Perla panties. Um, but yeah, like so for us to get self-conscious, like they're in their own world, these guys. They're just like, we're gonna do this is awesome. And us women are like, still like, is the lighting good? Like, do we look good? Am I being
I
sexy
know.
enough? Like, am I doing this right? Does he like this? Let me look at his facial expressions. Is he having a good time? And I think some of that for me, I'm gonna ask you this, but some of that for me, the older I got, kind of went away because I just don't care anymore. Like I
Yeah.
just like we're gonna do this anyways, so I might as well enjoy it.
Hmm.
Like I might as well get something out of it and just let myself fully submerge into it. And with you, you've been with Kevin for 8 years. So do you
Yeah.
feel like with that time that you've been able to kind of just sit back and relax and enjoy the show? Or do you feel like you're still really,
I
because
feel
for
like
me,
it got worse. Well, and honestly, I think I was a little bit more open to trying things like when I was like in my 20s, as opposed to now. Now I'm even more like,
you're
concerned.
more conservative now.
Yeah.
Why do
Yeah.
you why do
But
you
like,
think that is?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Really
No idea.
interesting. You and
Yeah.
I are going to talk
And I
about this
think
off camera
part of
because
it is part of it is too like physically, right? Like going to the gym now, like it takes so long for me to lose, like so many weeks for me to lose, like not, just a
so is
few
this like a
pounds,
weight thing, like a self-conscious thing with your
I think it's like
body?
it's me like appearance. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's
Because
what it really
newsflash,
is.
ladies, our bodies change with time. We get
I know.
older, our metabolism starts going, you know what I mean?
So I think
And
that makes me more self-conscious.
right. And that
So
makes sense.
yeah.
I can totally understand that. And I'm sure a lot of women are going to be like, same thing.
Yeah.
Um, so is there, was there ever, so you and Kevin have been together a long time. Can you even
Well,
remember like stories from a different relationship, or is that just completely, do you have amnesia from that time?
that was a blur. I think my old relationship, that was a blur. But I do remember like when Kevin and I first started dating, and like we would like our sex drive was like definitely like there. It was like
Hmm.
definitely more than once a week.
Yeah.
And I was like I said, I was a little bit more like open and willing to try new things when I was like in my 20s. That's when I
Hmm.
got with him,
I
as
knew,
opposed to now. Yeah.
okay. I mean, that's normal. Like we're younger and the relationship is new. I
Yeah.
remember a girlfriend of mine had never masturbated and had never used a toy in her entire life.
Yeah.
And she was an adult and I don't remember if she was engaged or married, but they were breaking up in the process of breaking up.
Uh-huh.
Um, but she'd never, and I was like, you've never had a private moment with yourself before? And she's like, no, I've never. Because her ex was a lunatic and he basically told her that she was not allowed to have pleasure unless it came from him.
Oh wow. That's not
So he completely brainwashed her into believing that. And that's just like how it's done. And he was kind of a crazy guy. Um, so when she broke up with him, um, she I'll just finish this story up and then we'll close everything out because I feel like we talked a lot about sex today. But
yeah.
when she broke up with him, she moved into her new place. My housewarming gift to her was the whole set, like the whole beginner set of like vibrators, different little heads, like different shapes and stuff.
Oh,
And I was
nice.
like, and she was kind of like you, like really conservative, a little religious too. So she kind
Okay.
of like felt guilt, about it. And I was like, listen, no pressure, but whenever you're ready, it could be weeks from now, months from now, I don't care. If you decide to use this, when you finish, call me and let me know how it went. And she was like, oh my God. She looked at the box like, I'm never going to use this.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
but a few weeks later, I think she
Mhm.
calls me and she's like, Maria. And I'm like, yes. I knew what it was. Like I knew immediately what it was. She's like, oh my goodness. Like I cannot believe that
She's
I've wasted this much time. She's like, he has never made me feel this way. He has never like this is like I didn't know that this was possible. This feeling was
oh wow.
possible.
Well, thank
So
you.
I love that story. I love that her life totally changed. She's
Yeah.
definitely not with that guy anymore. She's happy and like
And
has
she's probably
children and
doing it a
married.
lot more now.
Oh, I hope she's just enjoying life and doing her thing, all kind of weird stuff. I hope she's doing weird stuff with her new
Yes,
husband.
girl. I love it.
So first, I mean, thank you for sharing all that private stuff
Yeah.
and I'm surprised that you chose that. And I'm kind of glad that you did because again, you are conservative. So it's one thing for like one of my sexually active friends to talk about that, but I think it's more interesting to hear it from a conservative person.
Yeah.
And to come
I
out
feel
of
like I
your,
need to overcome my fear of talking about it because I
yeah.
don't talk about sex often. So I feel like
You and I
you,
can have talks about this anytime you want. I'll give you more tips and
I'm
tricks.
gonna call you.
So
You gave me a great platform too to do this. So
I
thank
gave
you.
you two ideas. So like the public vibrator thing with the app and then the blindfold thing.
I'm
So
cold. Trying it.
like I told my other friend, I'm gonna close this up with like I told my other friend, try it out. If it takes weeks, months, a year, I don't care.
I'm calling
Call
you.
me when it's done. Let me know how it went.
I will. This is great.
So let's wrap this up. I always like to wrap it up with this questionnaire. We only have a couple minutes left, but this is just like just speed firing off the questions and answers. Don't overthink it. Are
Hmm.
you ready?
Sure.
Okay, so this is a questionnaire that James Lipton does on Inside the Actors Studio, but it was originally created by Bernard Pivot. And question number one is, what is your favorite word?
Oh, that's so hard to
For
choose.
favorite word.
Beautiful.
What is your least favorite word?
This is kind of personal, but retarded.
Okay, I think that's a good choice. What turns you on?
Quality time.
Okay, what turns you off?
Drinking.
What sound or noise do you love?
Things cracking, like ASMR.
Oh, okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
People chewing with their mouths open.
Ugh, same. What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Me too. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh God. Cosmetology.
Okay, I could see that. What profession would you not like to do?
Accountant.
Okay, that's a good one too. And the last one, we're basically finished. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Thank you for being such a kind person.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's my favorite question. I love to hear
Yeah. I don't know.
what,
That's hard.
no, but that's perfect. That's great. If that's what you want to hear, when it's all said and done, then
Um,
I think that's a nice one. I hope we're all being kind to one another.
You know, there's just
Um,
people in this world.
yes. So that's it. That's the episode. This was a fun one. I'm glad you chose that. And I love you. I thank you so much for being here. I love all of my friends for totally different reasons. Um, you are someone that I feel like is um you're strong and sensitive, and I feel like your sensitivity is also a strength of yours.
Thank
Like
you.
absolutely. And I feel like you are just so appreciative of like quality relationships. And you and I don't even live in the same area anymore. And you're always like checking in or like supportive of anything like what we're doing on the like online with one another. Like you take 2 seconds to write that message and it
Yeah.
just like keeps things moving forward, and it makes, it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like we're still in a good place friendship wise.
We're
And we
still connected.
yes, we're still connected and making that effort. And that's what it's all about. Cause I feel like when you get older, you really want quality friendships and you're willing to go the extra mile to keep that thing alive. So
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
appreciate you and that part of you. And it's very rare. So
I appreciate you. And thank you for creating this platform for ladies to speak on because I mean, if it wasn't for this, I don't think I'd have a conversation like this with anybody. So thank you. I appreciate
no
you.
problem. Yes, of course. We might have to have an update if anybody in the comments wants to hear how Judy's interaction went with my suggestions. Don't be shy, put it in the comments, but we will leave you with that. Again, Judy, thank you so much for being here. And that's it. You're off the hook.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All
Love
right.
you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.